how can we identify current or past trends within our industry landscape to help us plan for the future? And so one of the things I did right before this was I asked my AI, what do you predict as the trends that are going to be happening for 2024? And it kind of gave me some pretty spot on ones that I think, and I'll share these with you and we can kind of toss them up in the air as we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm interested to hear what AI said.
Yeah. So number one is AR and VR marketing. And so I think one, because Apple's going to release their AR headset, I think probably around April, and there's going to be a whole new landscape of ways to market. I've done VR, but I think having something where you can integrate it within your home, where you can look around and like, whether you have appliances that are like, if GE all of a sudden wanted to have some sort of advertising when you turn and look at your dryer, and then all of a sudden there's going to be, hey, do you need this, this, and this? And you could probably sell pieces or parts or lint rollers, whatever it might be. And it'll have like a little information button like that we see. So that's at least something where I feel like maybe not as much as we saw AI in the last year, but I feel like it's definitely going to be something that's growing. And we've discussed this in the past as far as I definitely think AR is going to have a stranglehold in the future. The easier we can be mobile with these devices, whereas I think the AR headset they have coming out is going to be kind of, you're going to be in your living room. You're not going to be able to like walk around with it, even though I've seen it where the battery pack can go in your pocket and you can watch stuff while you're on an airplane and whatnot. But that's its own commercial. I won't do it for them. Number two is AI and machine learning, which obviously I think is going to continue to grow the way ChatGPT 4 and everything that's kind of coming along with that. The next few kind of made sense, but they were surprising. So one is privacy first marketing with an increased attention on data privacy. I got to slow down. Marketers might need to find new ways to personalize and target their messaging without relying on third-party data, which I definitely think a lot more people are going to be thinking about, where's my data going? Who am I sharing this with? Ask not to track, I think, is going to be one of those things where people have to become a little more creative in how they're reaching. And like we said before, whether it's more bespoke or more personalized efforts with your customers to realize, I want to get in, shake your hand, kind of figure out what you're thinking. Next one was social commerce, and the last one was sustainability and social impact. And for me, I think social commerce, the integration of e-commerce and social media could deepen. And definitely for me, I've got gifts for my nephew, hopefully my sister isn't watching, that I found on social media. And whether it's like the TikTok shop, I think is what a lot of people think. I went and looked on Amazon, but I think there's going to be different ways to kind of integrate that and still get the pricing that you're looking for. But to be able to purchase through an app, whether it's an Etsy or Instagram shop now type stuff, I think a lot more of those things are going to come into play. And the reason I mentioned TikTok is you don't even realize it's an ad. Somebody's sitting there doing something with this item. They're not selling it. They're just showing it, but yet there's a little decal at the bottom if you want to shop this product.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of times where I'm like, okay, this person isn't selling this to me. They're just kind of doing whatever they normally do. And this purchase point is within this thing. So I think that's something within social media is going to become a lot bigger. Is it might not be so much selling as it is kind of just like we've talked about before, providing information or providing what you normally do. You just happen to be wearing a t-shirt that says something, or you're using you're making a cooking dish, but you're using a tool that has the little link to go purchase it. And you're like, oh, I love that little carrot cutter. How do I get that? So I think there's going to be a lot more of those things that are kind of integrated into social media that are going to kind of blow up the next year, just because I've seen it happen within the last 6 months. All of a sudden, there's so many more ways to get products to people.
I think that there's a couple different things I would add to that too. I feel like there's a slight backlash happening with regard to large companies, like, and by that I don't mean to pick on them, but I'll just say Amazon. I think that everybody, the pendulum swung in one direction really far, and people started buying everything off Amazon. And I feel like people are starting to come back the other direction and realize that maybe to your point, where social commerce can come in, is I do feel like people are wanting to spend their dollars. As you mentioned earlier in this episode, people are spending their dollars a little bit more thoughtfully. And I think that part of that is them looking for people that are individuals that somehow resonate with them individually versus this big nameless Amazon type thing. So I feel like if you could tap into that as a business and reach out to people that you're part of the community, you're offering them something in their local community, you're somebody in the community just like they are. I think that's a very powerful play right now, because I do feel like there's a little bit of momentum against, it's been so far one direction, and I think now people are realizing that there's a lot of momentum. I mean, we have one client that did, I won't say any names, but did a gift card, a holiday gift card promotion from Black Friday to Cyber Monday, and almost saw a 100% increase in gift card sales in this year versus last year. With a very, very similar campaign. So I can't even attribute it to we did such a brilliant job marketing this year. It was a very similar strategy, yet which tells me that people are looking to spend their money in a more thoughtful way, maybe put money into local businesses' pockets versus Amazon somewhere. So I feel like as a local business, which I think a lot of the people that watch this Marketing Mondays are small local businesses, being able to tap into who you are and why they should potentially look to spend their money with you versus maybe a chain store or something like that. Maybe a strategy you could go at. I think the question, though, you asked was how to identify current or past trends in our industry. That would be one of the trends I would say that's not just in the industry, that's just happening in general, that I think that you could pay attention to. But I think, I think if you've been in business for a couple of years, one of the best things, and I'm saying this to myself, to preach to myself as well as anybody, I think getting in the habit of briefly, man, people are going to probably cringe when I say this, but briefly journaling every day. Briefly journaling about what's happening in your business every day, so that this November you can refer back to last November and read your journals from November and start to understand, what was going on last year, what's going on this year, that your own experiences and your own data as you're experiencing it day in and day out is going to be a good source for you to figure out what's happening. Is the landscape changing? Or trends changing? How can you take advantage of that? And again, I mean, I know people probably cringe, but I'm not talking about writing a freaking diary. I'm talking about every day, maybe if you're noticing things, make notes. And you might even not even have to do it every day. Maybe you could do a weekly journal entry, but it gives you something that this year you can refer back to last year, and next year you can refer back to this year and kind of notice how the business is changing. Because a lot of times changes are happening so subtly that we're not noticing it day in and day out. And a lot of times we hang on to things that aren't working longer than we should because we don't notice the changes happening. So sometimes we hang on to things longer than we should as far as strategies, things like that. So, I mean, again, I've been trying to tell myself recently to get in the habit of journaling, just from not just a business standpoint, but a personal standpoint, so that I could begin to utilize that to help myself understand better what's happening around me.
No, for me personally, that's a good reminder. I do a daily to-do list, and it's funny, I just mentioned this in my ice bath talks yesterday, as far as the feeling I get when I use my red marker to kind of check off the tasks and whatever that I did. And so it is one of those things I like to go back and refer to it if I need to, is kind of as far as how much I was able to accomplish each day. But granted, at the bottom of it, I should make a little note about, hey, I'm noticing this or that, just kind of on a bigger scale as far as the way I see things. So that's a good, for me personally, I'm glad that you mentioned it, because it's something that I can think about and try to incorporate into what I'm already doing, because I feel that is something to kind of keep track of as far as the overall sentiment of the day versus just what I kind of accomplished each day as well.
I'm trying to, as I go into 2024, to accomplish doing a short, and I'm not going to do like a lengthy one, but a short daily journal every day, not miss a single day. And, you know, I know people that have done it, and they're always typically astounded at, you know, where they're at the end of the year and what they've learned about themselves, what they've learned about their business, things like that by doing that. And I feel like, you know, we have to, you know, as we're heading into the new year, be thinking about, I will say this. I mean, a lot of times when business is good, we have a tendency to just wing it. Things are going well. We don't overthink it. We just continue, you know, the momentum is going. That's fine when business is good. But, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, we could be in store for a little bit of a business pullback, things like that. I think it makes sense to be thoughtful about how you're running your business, how you're proceeding, because sometimes winging it is going to be to your own detriment. Again, you may continue with things that aren't working because it takes you a longer time to figure it out. So I'm really, as we move forward into the next year, going to really be trying to say, you know, each day when I sit down, even if I write 3 to 5 sentences, it forces me to think for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, but it forces me to spend some time thinking versus just hitting the ground running when my feet hit the floor as I got out of bed, and don't stop until my head hits the pillow at night, and then wake up the next day and do it again. Wake up the next day and do it again. And next thing you know, 3 months have went by, and all you know is you've been busy for 3 months.
Yeah, no, I think if we can have a little bit of personal development each day, and if you are running your own business like we are, I think that's one of those things you're able to kind of look at more things and realize, hey, these are pieces of the business I might need to check in on because I noticed, oh, last week I didn't do this, or I had this kind of stuff come up. So I think to me, and like we mentioned at the end of last week, I think building yourself up and making sure that, one, you're the number one asset in your business. If you're a business owner, you have to make sure that you're putting the resources and development into yourself in order, if you think your business is going to grow, you have to make sure that you're growing with it. Otherwise, you're still going to be the same person you were when you started it, but yet your company is much bigger. You have to be a different person if that company is going to grow. So and
here's the thing. I mean, if you're happy with how your business is running and you're not looking to change, then that's fine. I mean, where this comes into play is if you're not happy with where your business is at and you want things to be different, you have to take action to make there be a difference. If you're like, hey, I've been in business 15 years. I'm really happy with it. It's just the right amount of business. I'm really happy with where it's at. Then great. I'm thrilled for you. As long as you're happy, I'm happy for you. Where it becomes an issue is when you're saying, I want more business. I want to move into a bigger facility. I want to grow my business, but you continue to do the same things you've always done, because you're not going to get where you want to go continuing to do what you did yesterday. You're going to have to change.